like when I turned 18, I moved back in with my brother, was rogue, ended up doing a bunch of crazy like monarch program stuff that you see like celebrities do when they're rogue. Like shave their head,
Okay. That was the first thought that came to my mind.
like be crazy. Like I didn't shave my head necessarily, but I would do just crazy stuff that like you see stuff in like the magazines where you're like, why would someone do that? Like why would they do that? And
Yeah.
it's because like you're literally trying to deal with the fact that like you're being put through suffering, but everyone around you is just like,
Yeah.
it's
Oh.
crazy. It's madness. So and then I ran away from my dad, and then I lived on my own, and then eventually I started working at this grocery store and in my hometown where I graduated. And like my high school experience was really crazy, and everybody, like there were people who even knew like, don't, like, if Hannah's mom, if you see her, protect Hannah. Like they everybody knew there was just something wrong. They couldn't really put their finger on it, but like they knew I was off. And but they knew that I like needed help because I was scared, and like I kept trying to unalive. And the girl that I was programmed with, one of the ways that they would try to make me unalive was I would get a call from my mom, and they would tell me like stuff about the girl I was programmed with, and like I would black out, and like I'd wake up in an ambulance, and like just crazy stuff. So
Is it
then I
because
ended up,
you cared about her? They would tell you like bad things about her, or what was
yeah, they would tell me that they were gonna hurt her if like, and they would like, they really do that, and like that's what they did to my mom, and that's why like I forgive my mom, I forgive all the people who hurt me. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, wickedness, and high places, and that is what possessed all those people in my life to do those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So onward to Sedona.
I want to
At my
ask you real quick before we
yeah,
go on. Yeah, and
yeah.
you don't have to, I don't want you to like say who they are or anything, but like the fact that I don't want to jump over this because I feel like the whole like everybody was like, "Wait, what does she mean when you say that somebody bought you?" Are these the same people that like owned your mom?
Um, yes, yes, because the easiest way, yeah, actually, because sometimes my mom sometimes would seem like she was my handler, but now I understand that someone was in charge of her, and yes, I do think it's the same family. Um,
Okay. And then when you ran away, did they like they
they looked, they knew where I was. Like this is the thing, when they buy you, you're an asset, and like the whole goal is to keep you dissociated and to not let you know what you do and who you are to them. So they will literally let you wander. They will let you be a rogue agent for a little bit. They will let you get apartments, live your own life, get jobs, but they will send people to watch you. And that sounds so crazy. I know it sounds narcissistic and schizophrenic and just crazy. I don't want it to be true, fam. Trust me, I want to be just a nice girl, but that's not the case.
I feel that
um
when I share my testimony too. I'm like, "I'm sorry, it's just it is what it is." Like I can only tell it what it was. Um,
Exactly. So I met all these people, and people like some people would call me oracles. I can't even explain how many people I would meet as a barista at this store. And the manager, gosh, I am scared. I am scared. Everything is fine. I don't know. The scariest thing about that was basically they will find a way through various people to corner you back into a place where they can reuse you as an asset, because you are a product walking around, like I was a product walking around with programming that costs a lot of money to download, and I a lot of money and time was put into me being an asset.
did they
So
have a goal of you like becoming famous or something?
that's that's the scary part, is yes. But if they don't want to use you for fame, you will literally just be like you'll be an extremely expensive like bottle of champagne to a person. Like you'll be the high end level
Mm,
of what like you won't even be a celebrity that's been seen by hundreds of people, like that's worn through, so to speak. Like you're like the veal of
Okay.
of the crop, like where it'd be like, yeah, we just trained this one. Like it's not like it hasn't even been on tour. Very few people have bought this model.
Is this
Like,
for sex purposes?
yeah, yeah, and I like as a very little girl, like a very little girl, and like it effed me up so badly. And I like sisters, like for those of you who have been, abused as a child, and you wonder like, how can I go on with life, right? Through Jesus, that's how, and it's worth it. I promise you that there is fruit, and there is value in
Yeah.
choosing to move forward.
Amen.
But what happened was I left that. They cornered me out of that town, put me in Sedona. They literally put me in Sedona, and I worked at the Sedona Hyatt Starbucks. I'm really putting myself out here. Ooh. And a man in a suit would like, and I forgot to tell you, the manager at like all these people who played these roles at the store that I worked at before, one of them gave me a box of books, and they were all Kabbalah. They were all Jewish mysticism, and it was really weird. But I'm the weird girl, so I'm used to it. Like weird stuff happens to me all the time. Like all my friends knew it. Like I would have to get restraining orders because I would get like people who would just give me flowers. Like this isn't me boasting. Like people would just give me flowers. Sometimes people would leave me perfume. Like people would be like, "Hey, would you read my book?" Like I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a nice person,
Yeah.
but no, I'm not as nice. I'm not that nice. So like people were just giving me stuff.
Like, I wanna just tell you for a second, like, I have the chills, like, I've had the chills for, like, 5 minutes now because, like, as you're telling this, I've been really, like, trying to understand, and finally I am starting to understand a little bit more, and I think the listeners are too, and for a while as you're telling this, I thought that you were talking about more so, like, wickedness in high places. Like, I thought this was, like, a spiritual contract. I didn't realize this stuff was happening to you in the flesh, like, in real life. This
Yeah,
was not that the spiritual stuff isn't happening in real life, but it's different to be spiritually oppressed, but then to actually be bought by somebody, like, in real terms, like,
they
literally.
don't see you as a person. They see you literally as a pet. You are a lesser being to them. You are there to benefit them. There's footage that is across the internet I've seen that has been scrubbed and re-uploaded. It's scrubbed and re-uploaded. It's such bad quality, but it's these little girl slaves that are cleaning up after either cleaning up prior or cleaning up after, and it's like that. You think you're just being a good little girl, and but you don't know, like you don't know why you can't sleep at night.
Yeah,
But yeah, so the thing is, monsters make monsters, and that's why this is so powerful and important. Is that God will intervene,
yeah,
and He did for me. And when I was in Sedona, I was transferred to, and I was modeling the whole time. I was modeling on and off, and I almost worked for this one agency, but they wanted me to lose so much off of my body that I was just like, nope, because I had already been through food deprivation, etc. So, I yeah, I was modeling on and off, and I started working in Sedona, and of course, all the weird people love me, and yeah, and this is the man in the suit. The man in the suit, he owns a facility in Sedona that I was taken to at nighttime where they would put me in this light machine that would like it would make you sweat. It would make you feel like it would make you feel like it was buzzing, like it was electrocuting your body from the inside. And they would force me in there for hours, and I would just be sweating, and like they strip you down, like it's really is like V for Vendetta. They rip away any form of like humanity that you have. They make you feel like you are not a human.
mhm,
But other times, if when you're dissociated, you won't even realize what they've done. You'll be on cloud nine because you think you are. oh gosh, I can't even remember her name. Hecate. You'll think you're a goddess because you'll be
Mm.
possessed.
So I'm glad that you actually brought that up because, like, this is kind of the way that I'm able to relate to you. Is when I was in the sex work world and I was a dancer, and that led into other things after hours, as I'm sure you can understand.
Yes.
And I was under the belief system that, like, I was in the new age at that time. I thought that, like, the goddess in me was thriving and empowered, and I didn't realize I was letting demons run my life and abuse my body and abuse my soul. Um, and so for me, it's like I was doing these things to myself per spiritual, demonic, legal contracts that I
They were
was.
leading you. The entities were leading you to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They, yeah. When you get to Sedona, you're like, wow, these red rocks are great. I'm gonna pick me up a dirt shirt. You don't realize that it's the underbelly is for trafficking. Like tourist towns are about trafficking. Like they have
Mhm.
nothing to do. Like yeah, there's money and economy involved, but the underbelly, like listen, there's an underbelly to society, and that sounds like oh yeah, like Infowars, underbelly to society. No, let's get real here. Like the fruit of Satan will always be wicked, even if it seems sweet at first.
Yeah.
So in Sedona, I got really, really sick from my lupus. Couldn't work anymore, and I was about to lose my apartment, and everything was falling apart. And I like oh gosh, the man in the suit. He was friends with this boy that used to come to my work, and the boy would talk to me about magic with a K. And because like I grew up in that, of course I would BS with him about it. And like I found out they were friends, and then I was like, wow, that's so crazy. And then basically he was like, I can help you get healing for your lupus. And I was like, excellent. I'm very with that. And they had this machine that they made me use when they trapped me for 3 months in a room where they said they were going to cure for me. And you'd have to hold it, and it was like it literally would electrocute you because once you were holding onto it, you couldn't let go until they turned it off. Like your hands were stuck there. So like I was put through like this crazy machine, and like they wouldn't feed me. They like it got to a point where I was like my feet were all effed up because like I was so dehydrated that my kidneys were screwed up, so my feet were swollen. So like I couldn't walk on my feet, and they would cover my head with like this like I don't know, like either a blanket or like a pillowcase. I don't know what it was when they would move me around so I couldn't see out. And at first I
Wow.
thought it was because yeah, at first I thought it was them being nice to me because of my lupus, because like honestly I can't be in the Arizona sun. The the UV index is way higher, and like it would literally make me so sick. But no, they would cover my head even at night. So like it was to not allow me to see where we were going. And
Mhm.
basically the boy who was in charge of me, he was put through programming too, and like I used to have a lot of hatred towards him and his partner that they were working with. But like one of them broke down and told me what happened, and then redissociated, couldn't remember that he told me, and of course went back to being like in charge of me as that like the enemy, and that's just something that like this is as old as like World War II. Like, this is why a lot of Nazi soldiers were like, I didn't want to hurt that man. I didn't want to. I didn't want to. I didn't want to be in a concentration camp as a Nazi. Like, I didn't want to do those things. It's because literally you get put under programming. Monsters make
Yeah.
monsters, and this is why it's so important, listener, to have a relationship with Jesus, because He's the only thing that will protect you. And I guarantee you this stuff is real, and you don't want to wait around and find out.
Yeah.
You really
Yeah.
don't.
And
It's
people, like, a common theme here is, like, we keep, like, your story consists of very real bad guys, like, very real bad guys, and so I'm glad that you keep bringing back, like, the spiritual component of this is because they are led by Satan, like, it's this common thread of, like, they're being led by this spirit, and it because a lot of people are like, "Well, why would people do that?" And, they don't understand, like, the intention or the reason, and it's because, like, there is a very real enemy, a spiritual enemy behind
man
these.
is fallen. Yeah, man is fallen, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but she's right, y'all. Like there's a spirit, and like the reason, like you ask yourself, like why would someone do that? Why would someone traffic a human? Why would someone be this malicious? Because we are fallen. And
Yeah.
because Satan is jealous of God. And he's jealous that you are made in the image of God to such a degree that he's going to spend every second of his day trying to dismantle you and the fact that God loves you.
Mm.
You have to fight back. You have to.